Welcome to Post Game Podcast. I'm your host, June. I got my boy B Foster in the building. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube and follow us on the aggregators for your audio fix. Those are platforms like YouTube Music, Spotify, all that good stuff. If you don't want to watch, but you prefer to listen, check us out there. Make sure you hit the notification bell so when we drop content, you'll get an alert. Download those episodes for us. Foster, it's been a minute. We haven't done a Pistons show. And the Pistons have been busy, man. They broke a little bit of a losing streak. You were at the game. So tell me, what did you see last night, man? You was right there front and center.
So we had a slow start. That game started out and we were down. I feel like once because the weather, and I had to push somebody out of a ditch on the way, out of my complex. But
Super Foster.
By the time I sat down in my seat and kind of was settled in, it was 17-7 Dallas. So they got out to a nice little lead early in the game. But ultimately, it was kind of ultimately we settled in. Cade had an amazing game. He finished with 40 points. He had two lefty. I don't know if they were hooks, but they were lefty finishes.
It was tough finishes with that left hand.
But he made them look easy. There was so many. He's getting in such a groove right now to where you can kind of see the confidence and aura kind of just reflecting off him, and it just looks really easy sometimes for him. He's just he plays at his own pace. He's in control of things. And when he gets into his spot, there's nothing you can do.
Just imagine if he had another primary handler out there with him.
Yeah, at times that secondary player is there. Tobias, who's had a couple stinkers. He's had a couple games where it's like 2 points, 4 points, like just. Little to no impact in a game, but he stepped up last night. He had the turnaround. Sometimes I forget that he's only 6'6" because he has when his post game is on, it's on, and he's very confident with that shot, and so he had it going last night, and he had the defense going last night too. He had 3 blocks last night. Tobias Harris.
We gotta mention. Salute to Cade for making the All-Star, for being
absolutely.
Golly, that was like we talked about this at the beginning of the season. That was one of our rapper caps.
That was one of the rapper caps.
Will Cade be an All-Star? And we both agreed that will be totally have a lot to do with the wins and the losses.
Correct.
The difference is this year we're at 500. At almost 50 games in, when you are scoring and doing all the things that you're doing and your team is winning, you're liable to, that helps your case in an All-Star nod. And there was some snubs on that list that was crazy, but salute to Cade. I think it's well-deserved. He belongs on that All-Star team. And this is what, year 4?
Yeah.
Year 4 for him. Yeah. The second year he didn't play that much last year.
What a horrible year.
Yeah. So, this is a feat for him. And I think this is only the beginning for him. You gotta remember he played 1 year in college. So he's just now, in his 4th year. Back in the day circumstances, he would have been a rookie this year. So, he's getting to the point to where his body is maturing, his game IQ is getting better. And last night he made it another 40 ball. He made it look simple. And he had a couple of shots at the end of the third quarter where they was cutting into the lead, and he got a couple of layups to put it back, put the score up, back up to 8, and it was like, okay, this guy, he knows when he's getting buckets when they need him the most. And got a little bit of help last night too. Got a little bit of help. Uh, Jalen Duren, uh, Tobias Harris played decent last night, and then you had the guard off the bench. What's my man name?
Sasser.
He had 10 points.
Yeah, he had a nice little run. This was the beginning of the fourth because they sat Cade early. They almost
He sat a long time in the fourth.
he sat a long time in the fourth. He sat longer than if they would have been struggling, but yeah, Sasser was able to because they were playing a kind of a zone or something, and he was kind of weaving. Sasser was kind of weaving his way into the middle, and he had his
little
that
floater game,
the little floater game
on. Yeah.
Yes, and that's a part of his game that if he can develop that, he can be dangerous. The step back, he had one that he wasn't able to complete, but it was nasty.
Yeah.
That's his move right there.
He was 0 for 5 from 3 last night.
Okay.
And you know, but what he was doing was when that 3-pointer wasn't working, he took a couple of dribbles, got to the lane a little bit, flipped it up there, and he made like 4 or 5 buckets from there. And it's like, that's what I like to see more of. Don't settle for the 3 all the time. You can get a closer shot. I mean, I like that. I like that. And Kyrie was on one early. He wound up with I think he had 30-something points last night. Might have been 36. Not sure. I quit counting after 28 because I was getting mad. But
28.
In the first, he had 28?
He kind of stopped abruptly because there was a point to where he was kind of right up there with Cade. And then
first half, he hit every 3-pointer he shot.
Bro.
And I was like, golly, this is the old Kyrie.
But you know what's crazy though? I mean, in watching he got to the line a lot, which helped, which is one thing that we, my homeboy was looking at the stats, three free throws for Cade. And it's not like Cade is a spot up shooter. He's getting to the cup.
He's still not getting all the calls he should get. He should be getting to the free throw more, but it's not because of him. He's playing aggressively towards the basket.
Because they replayed it on the big screen, it was either at the end of the half or end of the third quarter.
It was the end of the half.
Blatant foul.
He threw up his hands. He was like, what's the word? It was clear.
Because in real time, I couldn't really see it because you got to really get a good
it was bang bang in real time. I'll say that, but on the replay, they showed my man on his arm, and you saw it there on the big screen when they replayed it.
They let them have, and it was booming in there, and we got some nice little snow last night. It stopped by game time, but around like 5-6 o'clock, we were getting smacked with snow. But
I didn't even. You know what, Foster? I messed up. I dropped the ball. I would have went to that game. Yesterday was Demetrius' birthday.
Right,
that would have been a good birthday present.
Oh man,
for a Pistons game because he's never been. But I'm definitely going to do that. But we were out in the snow last night anyway, so we could have went to the game.
Yeah, it was. It was a really good game. Some Mavericks fans in there, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. One of a guy he proposed. He proposed to his fiance or whatever.
I hope he said no. Don't do that here.
And then he exposed so it was closed off.
Bastard!
But the plot twist, he turned around and it was at least a Hardaway joint. It was a Hardaway joint because I guess he wore 11 last year. Because I thought it was a Kyrie jersey, but
something like that.
But then he was like, okay, it's at least Hardaway. Okay, all right, we'll give you.
Man, hold on, man. Hardaway ain't earned his stripes like that, man. I don't get no pass for that.
He would us now. But I wanted to because yes, like you said, it seemed like Kyrie was making everything, and early on he must have, but he was only 3 for 10 from three last night,
He must have been
and
off in the second half.
had I
'Cause
mean,
he was canning the mugs early.
I was sitting right next to her. This girl was probably like 11 years old. She had the, you know how, the Mavericks, their whole thing is like horses, cowboy, whatever. So she had the Mavericks cape on, the top hat, and a Luka jersey.
She's
So
doing too much.
so in the 10 years old, in the first half, she was going crazy. She was talking her ish.
At 10?
Second, yeah, this is a real Mavericks fan. Like she
Man,
probably
I'd have
got.
poured my drink on her. Like, I haven't had a pop.
That's crazy.
Ugh.
But
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so she was but the second half, she was quiet as
Quiet
a
as
church mouse.
hell, huh?
So it got spooky in that second half. So yeah, he ended up being 9 for 23. Overall, so under 40%, 3 of 10 from three, but he did make 7 of 7 free throws. You know they were showing love on the free throw side of things because if he did anything, they were calling foul. So
Did you see the Kyrie interview after the game?
No, what happened?
He gave Cade major praise.
Got to what?
He was like, "Hey, this guy's getting comfortable. His basketball IQ is increasing. He's an incredible athlete. He can score. He's the leader out there, and he's doing a good job this year." He said you can tell he's maturing on the court. So it's good to see. He gave him a lot of props. It was, and at this point, you got to. And then I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen next, Foster. He's gonna start getting the respect of the calls out there. Because there's some people, if you breathe on them, they get a call. So I think at some point he's going to get the benefit of those calls, and because he gets contacted a lot shooting the ball in going to the rack, and nothing gets called like a lot of times, and it's like, come on, man. But he had a couple of finishes with the left hand. And I'm thinking, wow, he can finish with both hands. It's crazy. Pause. But
his bag is deep though. Like you see him, like I feel like I see him finish buckets a different way every game. Like sometimes he's falling off to the side. Mm-hmm. He's finishing with the left. He definitely talked about incorporating new shots into his repertoire, and it's obvious to me because at this point you can't lean on one particular thing that he's going to do. He's back to really utilizing that mid range, and when he has to take a spot up three, he's knocking those down too. So he's looking pretty unstoppable right now. I'm not going to lie.
You remember that year he was playing in the off season, and he was just they showed him in the summer, or I guess it was with the Olympic team or something, and he was just looking amazing out there. That's what he's doing now.
That's what people, the guys that played against him in that USA select team, they're not surprised at all because they sung high praises of him last year. I mean, he during that time he could have played overseas, but he was trying to get ready for the season that was last year. But the fact that season didn't break him just lets me know that he's equipped for whatever.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break, Foster, and we'll get back to some more Pistons basketball. If you're watching, we'll be back in like 10-15 seconds. If you're listening, you're going to hear some ads. We got to pay bills here. It's just one of those things FFSN demands from us, but it's not our fault. We'll be right back, though. And we are back. Foster, I love that game. I was pretty upset about the games before that, though.
Yeah.
I am starting to hate the Pacers.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Never hated the Pacers before. They were always a team I I respected, even growing up as a young pup, watching Reggie Miller out there, uh, and Rick Smits. Never hated them, even though they were in the division. Always had a respect for them, but I'm starting to really not like those guys. And it starts with Halliburton. Don't like him at all.
George Blaha don't like him, and then he like everybody.
George Blaha said something, and he was like, he just doesn't shut up. I was like, whoa, George.
Because George really know he's not cut like that. He's like, this dude is running his mouth like somebody won't go up in it.
He was running his mouth early, and it was good to see him miss dunks after that. It was good to see him, he had a couple of shots where he was wide open and missed. It was good, but when he makes a shot, he just talks so crazy. And I guess Isaiah Stewart and oh boy, whoever the guy he knocked down, I guess the guy said something that he probably shouldn't have said. And one thing I liked about that exchange is JB Bickerstaff stuck up for his guy.
Yeah.
He said some things on the court are beyond basketball. And it got to Isaiah Stewart, and you can't expect him to keep it basketball when you say certain things, when you cross the line. And it was like, they got a coach that's got their back. Like Monty Williams would have, I got to do a better job. It's my fault. He probably would have been quiet on the sideline. JB Bickerstaff gets after those refs. He's on the podium right after the game. They didn't say nothing when we kicked their ass last week, last game. You know what I'm saying? I hope they keep that same. And, JB Bickerstaff is really one of those guys for the Pistons. And you can tell it's a big difference in where they're being led this year as opposed to last year. Don't want to drag Monty, but I'm just saying there's a big difference. Foster, do you see that difference yourself?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. It's a polar opposite, a 180 turn of how it was last year. Um, you know, JB, like we laugh about Isaiah Stewart and him having a couple loose screws, but JB kind of right there with him the way he cut up sometimes. So yeah, it goes a long way because in the short term, it's like, we really need our head coach out there. But at the same time, it goes a long way in, we know Isaiah Stewart is going to leave it all out on the court. He's got a high motor. He plays hard, but but when you have a coach that you really believe in and you really believes is willing to hold you down, it's going to go a long way in how you're willing to play for him. So it's a big deal, and it's one of those things that people kind of don't always take into account.
Yeah. I mean, I actually got mad and quit watching the game after he got ejected for a minute. I said, you know what, man? It's not that he did something just wrong that made me mad. It was just, I know it's the Pacers, man. It's the you. I want all hands on deck when it comes to the Pacers. And he got thrown out, and I'm like, I know he's not a 20-point guy or one of those guys that's going to make a huge difference, but they need that enforcer. The Pistons need him present. His shot blocking is one thing that we definitely miss when he's not in there, and he has the effort and heart of anybody on the court. So it was like, come on, man, not to these guys. Don't let these guys get under your, don't let them get under your skin like that. But
It was a bad play. It was
yeah. It was and then at the same time, it was like when he got thrown out, I gotta admit, I said, man, just call a flagrant foul or a tech, and that, you know what I'm saying, that he ran him over. I mean, did he have to get ejected?
It was there was I'm not mad at the ejection just because for one it wasn't a basketball play. Like
Yeah. I mean, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I was in the heat of it, I was like, nah, don't eject him. But then after a while and watching, I'm like, you just can't do that. You
you just
can't do that. You
can't.
can't. This is not this. It's not football. No, you
In the
can't.
NFL,
He's got a
if it's a
flag in the NFL,
defenseless,
probably.
yeah, I was saying if it's a defenseless receiver like that, or somebody that's even like those crackback blocks, like
Yeah,
you can't even do that in the NFL.
can't do nothing. But I'm telling and when it happened, I was like, oh man, come on. But then after watching the replays, and I'm like, yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. And you know what's crazy? And I saw a clip just this morning. Isaiah Thomas was going 1991, going to the rack, and Carl Malone gave him an elbow from hell. He wound up having 40 stitches. Right, Isaiah just and he was on the ground forever, bleeding for the longest. Trainers was out. Chuck Daly wanted to fight. Darrell Walker wanted to fight. He was off the bench. He had on his warm-up jacket on the court trying to fight. And Karl Malone got ejected from that game. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, rightly so. You know what I'm saying? But this is the difference. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying this is the difference between now and then. You just can't do that kind of stuff because it would take something like 40 stitches to get you kicked out of a game back then.
Gotta draw blood.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody had to be hurt. You know what I'm saying? But just whatever was said, it's easier to say sitting here and just ignore it. But man, when you got a grown man, it's just certain things that basketball, sports, whatever goes out the window. And sometimes it's like, gotta be a man. Now, running somebody over on the basketball court is one thing. But that's as far as it goes, as far as being a man and losing control. I don't mean like it's okay to shoot somebody or beat somebody up. We're talking about strictly on this court.
He was gesturing like you see him. I'm like, wow, this guy.
I'm just saying, I understand the ramifications of getting upset on the court and doing an action like that, like where you just run through a person and knock them down. And that was a big dude he knocked down too. It wasn't no guard.
Brian is not a little fella.
No.
But he don't have picks though. It's not like he said, all right, I'm gonna go run up on Halliburton.
Obviously he said something. The guy it was between those two. Now, if Halliburton said something crazy, I'm pretty sure he probably would have still been planted there if that was Halliburton. He's frail.
Yeah.
This was a big dude he ran. It was a power forward center he ran through like that. So he probably would have broke Halliburton.
Man,
and I've been very happy.
And that's why, I feel like you can look on his face. It's like, do you know what I would do to you? Like, so what, like, cause sometimes people will say stuff to him and it's like, and he just had his look on his face, like, I will beat you. And
dude was ready. He was ready for smoke. They was holding him back, this, that, and that. I'm like, I better hold on to him because
he was upset. But
you don't run up over there, bro. Don't do it. That's Stewart. They
be hoping somebody will hold him.
Yeah,
they be hoping.
Stewart over there. Give me a reason. Give me a reason.
But with that said, he ended up being suspended because after your sixth flagrant foul, you get suspended. So he got suspended on his own bobblehead night last night.
They need to run that bobblehead back.
And I'm sick because
I would have postponed it.
Yeah, but people probably bought tickets.
Because of it.
Yeah, because it was Like I said, it was a lot of people.
I
It
would
was
have
a lot of
found a
people.
way to run it back though. I would have said, okay, probably wouldn't have been bobblehead night, but it'd been some kind of recognition for him. And if there was any leftover bobblehead night, bobbleheads, just you know. But man, that's messed up.
I
I
mean,
mean, it's not like he missed an all-star game or something like that, but it's still your night.
it's your
And,
night. It would have been nice, but
and he has 6. Oh, yeah. Yeah. He got to be careful.
so yeah, because I wanted to see him play. You know what I mean? But
don't Draymond Green it, man. Don't Draymond Green it. You know, he had those ticks up there. He had those those flagrants up there to where he's getting kicked out every time. At one point, one season, he was getting kicked out, missing a game every time, every other game seemed like. So, but yeah, he last night was a joy to watch. As far as I see, Cade when Cade's in a rhythm like that, all he needs is a little help, and it's a blowout. You know what I'm saying? He gets a little help, and it's a blowout. So, and what I'm starting to see, Foster, is the Mavs are 26-23.
Okay, I didn't know what their record was
They're
actually.
26-23. We are winning versus good teams. And this is something that didn't happen last year or the year before. I had to go back and I look beyond the 14-68 season. I think the highest win total was like 20, 21, 22 games the 4 or 5 seasons prior to that. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't just last season where you're seeing the improvement from. The Pistons are sitting right now at 24-24. This surpasses the last 4 or 5 seasons win total. And you still got 34 games left. And you're 24-24. We got to get back to that rapid cap segment. We're going to figure it out. And for those that don't know what the rapid cap segment is, that's a part of the show where we get about 10 scenarios. And me and Foster decides whether it's rapid cap, and we get input from our listeners or viewers, more than, because YouTube, and they can add comments. We get input from the viewers whether a scenario is rap or cap. For instance, one of the rapid cap questions last year was, will Cade make the All-Star game this year? And me and Foster both said, I think we both said rap on that, but we both said it depends on the success, not just Cade. The team has to be in some kind of a winning spirit or a better spirit than this year. Because if they're just as bad as it was last year, they're going to just not pay attention to what Cade is doing. It's just going to be like, he's doing all that for nothing. He needs to leave. You know what I'm saying? They'll be thinking he's just a good player on a bad team. But there's a lot of, in comparison to the seasons past, there's been a lot of wins so far in this before the All-Star break. And it's good to see. It is definitely good to see. Foster, when is the All-Star game?
Let's look it up.
Because I'm trying to figure out, because usually back in the day, right at 41 games or close to 41 games, it was it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had about 41 games locked in, and it was All-Star break. We're 48 games in.
Right. It's February 16th.
Okay, so it's not that far away. It's 2 weeks and a day away. And I think we probably got 4 or 5 more games before that.
Yeah, we and I want to say most of them are at home.
That's good to know. When is the next game? Tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow at 3:00 against the Chicago Bulls.
We haven't won versus the Bulls in a very long time.
We don't beat anybody in our division. That is the one thing that I wanted to. That is one thing that is troubling me.
Let's talk about it.
In the last 3 games, we played outside of Dallas. I think we played Orlando, who's not in our division, but they're in the East. We played Cleveland, who we've
Yeah.
lost to 3 times. I don't think we've really been a threat to them in
No.
any of those games.
No.
Not to say we got blown out, but I never felt like, okay, we're in
Was
this.
never in doubt for them.
And then of course the Pacers, who I think we beat once, but we've lost to, I think, 2 or 3 times. So and then the Bull, obviously the Bulls are in our division as well. So, and then Milwaukee is in our division. So
Yeah.
when you look at our overall record, the only teams that we're struggling against this year is the Central,
within our division.
Unfortunately, is the teams you play the most. So
yeah, sucks.
Tricky situation, but and then also we play the Bulls, I think 3 times in the next nine games, and there's I've heard of the home and home, right, where you play a team twice in a row, one time in Chicago, one time in Detroit. There are 2 consecutive games in Chicago coming up. Not tomorrow, obviously, but in the next few games, because it's been a while since we played Chicago, so they're probably trying to, I guess, catch up on those games. But we play Chicago twice in a row in Chicago, in the United Center. What is that?
Yeah. I want that game tomorrow. I want to win that game tomorrow. Put it like this.
Chicago was not trying to. I mean, I think they've been on a little bit of a skid. They just beat somebody, though. I think they beat a pretty good team, whoever it was.
Mhm.
But they've been on a nice little losing streak. But I cut your wisdom. What were you going to say?
We need to win that game tomorrow. And if we do win that game tomorrow, I'm going live. It's going to be a celebration for me. So I'll be here tomorrow after the game.
Why are we celebrating? Just cause, or
I just want that win. It seems like we haven't beaten the Bulls in a long time, since last year. Game 3. That's what it seems like to me. I could be wrong, but God bless you. I could be wrong, but it's been a long time, it seems like.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it hasn't been. I don't know. I can't even. I can't really.
I'll figure it out. And when I go live tomorrow, because I'm predicting a win, I'll be able to tell you when the last time we beat the Bulls.
This is probably Levine's little, tune-up game before he gets traded to us. I was actually sitting.
Whoa! We can't let that slide before he gets what?
I mean,
say it again.
I'm saying before he gets traded to us. That's my. I mean, I have no type of insider. Although I was.
Is that just a bold prediction?
It's a bold prediction, but I think that it would really. I think it would really set the team. Put the team in a good position. I mean, Levine's having a really good year, and at no point in time when you have a Levine and Cade on the same team should we have any issues going and getting a bucket like that, because that's really been our biggest Achilles heel. I mean, we've had other things. I mean, we've had other issues. We can't guard a stretch big like Miles Turner, and obviously Levine won't help with that. And sometimes we struggle against those teams that have two. And the one thing that he will help is we struggle with teams that have a couple guys that can go, a couple stars that can go and get a bucket. When it's our stars versus their stars, we usually lose, like Booker and KD, Wagner and Banchero, Tatum and Jaylen Brown. We don't have that second star that can combat that type of presence. Right. So you go and get a guy like Levine. He is another top-notch 3-level scorer that can go and get a bucket. You don't have to always play him and Cade together. You can stagger their times where, like I said, like we talked about earlier, Cade was sitting in the fourth quarter, and we were depending on Marcus Sasser to make things happen, while Cade got a little bit of a rest. You can stagger minutes in a way to where you got LaVine out there, uh, you know, shouldering the, shouldering the load while Cade's getting some rest, because Cade is a two-way player that's gonna give you, pretty good effort on the defensive side of the ball too. So he needs a rest. He can't play 50 minutes a game. It just can't play 50 minutes in a in a regulation game, but he just can't play 40 plus minutes every night.
Well, I got a question for you, and I've been trying. It's been racking my brain. Like I like Zach LaVine. I always thought he was a good player, great scorer, um, known for his vertical and tremendous dunks, and he's developed an outside shot as well. Just a good scorer. I'm just trying to figure out why the Bulls don't want him. Is it because of the price tag that he carries, or I don't know why he would be a player, because for last couple of years he's been looked at as in, let's get rid of this guy. I'm not saying from the organizational standpoint. I'm talking about the fans that I talk to and the bloggers that I watch that talk about Chicago Bulls. They want to ship him away. So what is it about him that makes them want to get rid of him?
To be honest, this team was a Lonzo Ball injury away from being a factor in the Eastern Conference. When Lonzo first got there and they were playing together as a cohesive unit, he was the glue that kept that team together. Mm-hmm. And now they're in a position where it's not because LaVine is such a terrible player. Now, granted, he is a guy, he's not a guy that can be, they've decided that he can't be a number one guy. You're not going to win games, meaningful games, with LaVine as your number one option. He's just not, I don't want to say he's not a winner, but sometimes a lot of his stats end up just being empty when it's all said and done. And the reason why they're trying to get rid of him is because with the amount of money that they're paying him, they're not going to be able to, because he's making like 50 million, or by the end of his contract, he's going to be making $50 million. And they're not going to be able to put enough players around him to be successful long term. The Bulls have been in purgatory of play into then that's 6 to 8. LaVine's gonna make them just good enough to where they'll never bottom out completely and tank and have a lottery pick. So they're always going to be picking 12th in the draft every year, as opposed to completely gutting the roster of all the good players on it. Vucevic, LaVine, LaVine, as far as top-notch talent. They're always going to be in that middle purgatory, and they're never going to get a chance to start over. So that's why they're getting rid of him, is because he's going to make them too good to completely bottom out. I mean, unless he gets hurt like he was last year and doesn't play. But the assumption is that he's going to be healthy and play, because you see how well he's played. The Bulls up to a certain point were kind of a competitive team in that 6 to 10 play-in range. So they're just ready to start over. They haven't had a lottery pick in I don't know when, since Pat Williams.
Yeah. What was he, number 2, number 3? Pat Williams?
4.
It was top 5 for sure.
It was top 5 for sure.
Yeah. Good morning, Troy. Troy chimes in and says, the Pistons are really good. You know what's even crazier about that? I think they can be better. I think they can be better.
Number 6 right now, behind the Indiana Pacers, who we can't beat.
And you know what, Foster? Every game I get a glimpse of something Jalen Duren does, and I'm like, we got to keep the big fella. Then at the
Me
same
too.
time,
Me
at the
too.
same time, he'll do something to be like, they need to get rid of him. So I need to see more consistency from Jalen. Jalen, he had a putback last night, and it was like, yeah, I ain't gone, big fella. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was, and he was like so above the rim. It was a very desperate, needed putback. It was like, this is what we need this young guy for.
Yeah, he's very when he is at his peak alpha self, he is a very dominant player, and physically nobody on the court can match what he brings. And that's the scary thing about thinking about dangling him out there, is that when he reaches his max potential, he is going to be a monster. And I had another one of those moments where I was like, all right, June, you can't get rid of him.
Can't get rid of him. No.
But you know who stepped up last night?
Who that?
Because Stewart didn't play. Paul Reed.
Paul Reed. Hey,
Paul Reed
that
gets
jumper
busy.
is so ugly, but
he can knock it down.
he knocks down the mid
The
range.
little mid range. The little midi is
The
all.
midi is gold.
And I like when he shows on that pick and roll. I don't know if it's his wingspan or if it's his anticipation, but he always gets that. Yeah. Troy says Reed's jumper is nasty.
It's
But
nasty.
he always is able to get a hand in on when that guard is, when they do that little, that switch on the pick and roll. He always gets his hand in. And he had a couple, I want to say he had one steal, but he's really, really active in the steals.
Yeah, for
He
sure.
had one steal, 0 blocks, but 6.7 rebounds. He had a couple ticky-tack fouls. That was the one, because they were trying to I think they were trying to get Duren as much rest as possible. But he definitely picked up a couple little weak fouls. I think one was on Kyrie. But another, when his number is called, he, for the most part, he handles his business. It's not like they're really drawing up plays for him. He's just kind of you know what? They had one. It was a loose ball where he ended up getting he was gonna get a dunk if they hadn't called the loose ball foul. But he picked up a couple of tic-tac fouls. But Paul Reed, that was, somebody jokingly said, because I don't know if you saw how Adam Silver was proposing a 10-minute quarters over the 12 that we had. And somebody said no, because that means no Paul Reed minutes. I can't.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Because you take away those, Paul Reed already don't play, but you take away an extra 8 minutes of a game because it's 2 per quarter. You're not seeing Paul Reed play.
And you know what's sad about that is his effort doesn't waver. And here's a man that doesn't hardly get any tick. He's been waived. He's
got a pay. He got a pay cut, or he took a pay cut.
But he whenever his numbers called, just like Sasser, when you call their numbers, they're showing up to play, no matter what. So Troy says Reed, Sasser, and Osser bring so much defensive energy. And Troy also says Bickerstaff is always screaming at refs and showing passion to the game. It has rubbed off on our whole team. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the team feels like JB has their back, and he's definitely not letting anything slide. Like I said, even with the incident with Isaiah Stewart getting ejected, he was on the podium at the press conference sticking up for his guy. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like basically justifying what he did. And, usually coaches are the first to say, you can't do that. You got to stay mentally in the game. But he took a different stance, like, hey, basketball is one thing. Being a man is another. There's certain things you can't say. You can't cross the line. and expect a man not to take actions for it. So you got to give it up for JB. There's a different energy with this team, and we can't just say it's just JB though, because this team did do a personnel overall. There's a lot of new faces and a lot of old faces that left, and a lot of new faces that are here. Malik Beasley had 9 points, and I think he had that 9 at half.
Yeah, he didn't score in the second half.
And so one of those games where, and usually your two leading scorers are Cade and Beasley. And last night you had a game where Beasley didn't score in the second half, but you had Sasser that had 10 points. And you had Tobias that I think he had 17. You know what I'm saying? These are the kind of efforts that you're going to need from your other players when you can't get it from Beasley or Cade. Those players had to step up. I think Duran had 14 rebounds, I believe. He played they played pretty good last night, and it was good to see. And I want to see this same effort tomorrow.
Gotta double up.
Win 2 in a row. I think we're if I'm not mistaken, we might be 1-4 the last 5 games, something like that. Can't remember. But I know we haven't.
Atlanta. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we're 2-3.
2-3 out of the last 5.
We beat Atlanta, right?
Beat Atlanta, yes. Yes. 2 out of the last 5. I mean, I guess you don't want to, you want to have a winning record out of your last 5, and we expect it. That's the difference. We expect to be on the winning spectrum. 2 out of those 3 games, Cleveland and in Indiana, and I'm not mad at losing against Cleveland in Cleveland, but I am disappointed in losing the way we lost in Indiana versus the Pacers. I don't like them no more. Don't like them. Don't want to lose to them. Halliburton says they're not a rivalry. It's not a grudge game. We haven't seen them in the playoffs. Man, look here, man. Franchises rival. They've been in the playoffs against each other before. The rules don't change because you're here, Mr. Halliburton. It can be a rivalry.
Yeah. In his heart, though, I get it. The Red Wings in Colorado historically were rivals. They're not.
That's what I'm talking about. More of a historical type thing. It is the stuff doesn't. You can't change history, bro. We had the brawl in Auburn Hills. Come on, man. This is before you.
It was he was probably in elementary school when that happened.
Troy says, as long as we have a decent roster around Cade, we're going to be playoff team for 10 plus years, in my opinion. I believe so. And I'm going to say this now. You need to build some people, get some people around Cade and keep them around here, because when his contract is up, get him another extension. Lock him down.
He's going to be rich as.
Make him rich. Troy says, Spurs, Celtics, and Cavs always give us a tough time. Pacers, nah, they little bro to us.
0 NBA championships.
Yeah. Why are you talking? You can't really claim yourself to have a rival if you ain't won a ship, chump. Anyway, Foster, put a bow on this, man. We can get out of here.
Creeping up on the trade deadline. I got a nice
trade deadline. What's the date?
Dang, I spoke on it last time, but
I put you on the spot, didn't I? I like to know when that trade is. The 6th.
Yeah,
it's not far.
Not far at all. So we got some.
It's February 1st already, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving right along through this.
And I was sitting not too far from Trajan Langdon. He's kind of in there. He's got his own little private little table area. But I was trying to read his mind to see what he was thinking, trying to evaluate as he's watching the game and we're watching, because we're basically watching it on the same level. And
You're
I,
so full of crap.
I, I
Go
mean,
ahead,
honestly,
man. Go ahead.
he's not courtside. He's like he's lower bowl, but he's like
And
whatever.
finish your food, man.
But I just want to I just want to know what's going on in his mind, because this was a good win today, but we know what the Troy, who was the dream player to acquire for us?
Now elaborate on that, Troy. Do you mean like for this year um or just in general? Because
I think he's talking about trade deadline.
before the trade deadline, okay. Just
I mean, dream Devin Booker. Yeah.
yeah.
Dream Devin Booker. More realistically, Zach LaVine, and margin level, realistic, even more realistic, probably like a
McCollum.
Kyle. Oh, I keep forgetting. Yeah, so definitely CJ McCollum, or like a Colin Sexton. I think a Colin Sexton would be cool too.
Ooh, that would be nasty to get Sexton though.
Yeah, and I think that he could. I think that some of his aggression and tenacity could rub off on a Sasser as well, because they're kind of that same. They're kind of that same build. Not really the same game, but he's an undersized combo guard type, that can guard 90 feet. But
I got
yeah,
another
but
one.
what's up?
Guard out of Brooklyn.
Oh, Cam Thomas.
Cam Thomas.
He's a bucket. He's a bucket. He's having a good year. He hasn't played much this year. I don't know if that's because Brooklyn's just trying to lose, but yeah, Cam Thomas would be cool.
Yeah.
I like that. But yeah, I wish I could get into the mind of what Trajan Langdon had going on as he watched this game, because that was a good game. But the reality is that the other reality is the last couple of games against the interdivision type teams and Eastern Conference teams that we're going to be seeing more often. We've done well with the West, especially on the West. Yeah. Troy says they say Brandon Ingram could be traded and denounce Murray's season has ended. I think DeJounte Murray is what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
Torn
Achilles.
Yeah, like somebody was saying earlier, they're kind of cursed with injuries, it seems like. I mean, between Ingram and Williamson and
Zion.
Zion and Murray, and everybody has been hurt over there, because the roster compilation is nice. They got some talented players, but everybody seems to get hurt. So Ingram, I was kind of all for it at the beginning of the year, not knowing that he was going to go into this year and continue to be hurt. So especially with him, he's got an expiring deal. So the price would have to be real sweet in order for us to have a guy that could possibly be a rental and be trying to sign a max deal in the off season elsewhere. So I don't even think he would look right in red, white, and blue, honestly.
No.
So
yeah. So as far as the dream players, Cam Thomas, Devin Booker at the top of that list. Realistically, Cam Thomas, McCollum, or Zach LaVine. The key thing about all of those players are players that can create their own shots, and those are players that give you another primary ball handler with Cade. So that is what we're thinking that we need right now, and we can build upon the rest. So
are you? I got a question though. So are you? I think the last show you said that you feel that we will sit put and not do much. Are you are you more inclined to believe that we're going to make a move, or do you still stand put on that stance?
I still don't believe we're going to make a move.
Man,
Now,
I'll be sick. I'm not gonna lie. If we don't do
I'm I'm I'm
anything,
I'm gonna keep it real. Don't get it confused. I want a move made.
yeah, I got you.
I think something needs to happen. We need another addition to this team. I just don't think it's going to happen. I could be
Mm.
wrong.
And you believe that's because he wants to keep everything intact, or you just don't think that he
I
is
think
gonna?
I think the price will be higher than what Trajan's willing to spend for the players that we want to see or the players that we need to get here. And I think the asking price will be too much.
When they're burning the midnight oil on February 5th, and the Pelicans are forced to trade Brandon Ingram before, and now I say Brandon Ingram because we kind of talked about this on the show on Monday. Oh,
Yeah.
were you on the show? Maybe
I wasn't there Monday.
okay, yeah. So we kind of talked about how when guys like Ingram have to get moved because they're gonna lose him for nothing, right? And he's somebody that teams could be willing to give something up, but eventually you're gonna have to pull the trigger because he's not even playing right now. You have to get rid of him. A guy like Levine, yes, they could hold on to him, but they can ill afford to continue to be middle ground and not bottoming out. They have to the market is low for him. It seems to be low for Vucevic as well, but you got to make a move because we've seen guys get traded and you were like, that's it. Like
I've seen that. But on the flip side, that never happens with my teams.
you're right. That's the best. Yeah, that's the part of it. That's
I mean, I've seen teams get an all-star for a stick of gum. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't think. I think what they'll be asking for is too much to give up. But we'll see. Part of it is me though, because there's some players that I don't want to see go, but they're very, very tradable, and I think you can get a lot with what you have. There's some players on this team that would help a lot of teams out. Really, really, you know what I'm saying? They would help some teams out. While they may not be stars here, they can go to another roster, another franchise, and be that difference maker off the bench. Uh, it's a couple of players here that teams that are on the cusp of moving up a spot or two within the playoff picture that could use Isaiah Stewart. I don't want to trade Duran, but they could use Jalen Duran. They could use Thompson. You know what I'm saying? There's some
Beasley. I mean, Beasley
Beasley,
essentially said
and they
that
won't even give him an
yeah.
extension right now until after. They won't give Beasley an extension until they figure out what's happening before the trade deadline. Because Beasley has gone on and said, I want to stay. And Trajan Langdon has said, we want you to stay, but this is business. There's some teams out there that want your services. So we're not going to make any extensions until after that.
He could come back though. He could be traded and in the offseason come back, right?
Could be. But I don't trade away nobody that wants to be here that's that good. That makes a difference.
Yeah, it's tricky because because we only signed him to a 1-year deal, we can't pay him the most. Somebody could pay more than the max that we can pay.
But the problem is me. There's certain people I don't want to see go. And maybe Trajan sees it differently, and I could be wrong about making a move. But this is just my opinion. I don't think a move will be made.
Got to do something.
Got to. We're on the cusp. We're on the cusp. We're at 6 right now, and I think with the right moves, we could because we don't want to be the 8th seed or play in. We do not want to play Cleveland in the first round.
Yeah, gotta get out of that. What is it? 7, 8, 9, 10. You got to be 6 or better.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to be the 8th seed and or you don't want to have to face Cleveland in the first round. You don't. You just don't.
Heck, you know.
That's an early exit. That's an early exit right now.
I like our chances versus New York though. We've been playing tough against New York.
Yeah, yeah.
And what would that be? 3? What is it? 3 play to 6, or how does that work?
I don't even remember how it goes now. I don't know.
1-8, 2-7, 3.
Yeah, 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5.
4-5. So I think the Knicks are the third. They don't want to see us.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Let's get out of here, Foster. Make sure you are subscribed to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube and following us on the aggregators for your audio fix. That's Bleachers to Speakers FFSN in your search. And you can find us in places like Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, and download those episodes and make sure that notification bell is on. When we drop content, you'll get an alert. Foster, we had a good show. We will be, if the Pistons win tomorrow, I'll be back on here. I don't know what Foster got planned. He might be at the game in the skybox, but in the luxury suite. But I know I'll be back if Chicago, if the Pistons beat Chicago. It's not like a playoff implication or anything. It's just I just want to see them win a division game, and if they win tomorrow, I'll be back talking about it. Make sure you subscribe to Bleachers and Speakers, and you can check out these player profiles. We got some player profiles on there. If we don't do any shows, you can always catch up on some player profiles that we do. I'm doing the old school player profiles. Foster's doing the player profiles of today. He's doing NFL draft prospects. He's doing NBA players. Go check that channel out and look at some of the content on there. Share, like, make sure you subscribe. We are out of here.